It is. Are you ready to be rounded up?
I'm ready to be rounded up in the summer when there's not that much to round up normally, but go on.
I think this is the...
this?
I think this, that's not all stuff pertaining to... far from it. Far from it. First page on this is how regularly we should have meetings on various topics. So this is not all transfers, far from it. In fact, the transfers is just those bits there, because I think this is the quietest week.
And that's why you're turning it into the office, waiting for Finchy to come through the door?
Very much so, very much so.
But it is, I agree with you.
Gareth Roberts can throw a kettle over a pub, and that is the quiz. Go on.
Great, the office one. It is the quietest week. I think we said that on something the other day, that it's just a weird time. I think if you're having a holiday, if you're working football, it's now. So that means I think a lot of the stuff that's flying about, huge amounts of salt with it.
Yeah, take the salt. Take the salt everywhere you can find it.
Because they're on holiday. They'll get calls off agents and things like that, obviously, but largely, when else are you going to go on holiday? You've got to watch the Euros if you're involved in footy. You have to be involved till the end of the season if you're in footy. So
I think there was like a line where I must basically come out and announced it and said no one's going to do anything for 10 days. We'll just have a few days off. Everyone's just having 10 days off, and that includes the weekend. That's like still to 7-8 working days tops, because then they're all going to be right back at it, absolutely smashing the life out of it. That said, there was strong Higuain stuff, which has been shot down aggressively by the Echo, saying that Kloppo is on holiday. We have no interest, Liverpool, and it might even have been Kloppo's lad he was sitting next to, and not Higuain's brother, because Kloppo's got a lad, and he's gone on holiday. It
was classic social media stuff, all that, wasn't it? It was like I seen it and I thought, what am I doing with this? Because we have this, we're constantly touring on what we should be tweeting about and talking about on Facebook and all the rest, because trying to be a little bit different to everyone else, and I can see it all flying, and I'm thinking, well, is it in? Or is it a fella who looks like him?
Yeah.
And then next minute, it's the fella with him there, his agent, his brother, all kinds of people.
6 jobs.
And it was like, prove it. And it was noticeable that, the usual thing that we always say, the Echo, 9 times out of 10, is pretty reliable. Tony Barrett, Paul Joyce, Melissa Reddy, all the people on the patch. None of them are saying anything, and I'm going, I'm not into this. And then, you say it's been shot down now. Well, I'm not particularly surprised.
But Gutman is still into it.
Of course he is.
And if you're into it, that's fine. We have a department that deals with that. Meetings at the top. We've got a department on that one.
Transfer Madness department run by Rob Gutman.
Yeah. I think there's an acronym we'll put it somewhere that turns into WHAM. And that's so there'll be more of that by the end of the week, to be honest with you. Gutman will be whamming his head off come Thursday and on tour playing it. Honestly, if you're into that, that's fine, because I understand the summer excitement of who could be by.
Yeah,
this could happen. Higuain does feel, in a mad sense, it does actually feel, when you begin to list the clubs he's likely to go to, it becomes like you could sort of see how he could end up coming to us if you go through the fact that he's not going to get a move to X, Y or Z again, but he's at Napoli and he might want to move. It's one last move of his career. You can talk yourself into all this.
Of course you can.
I just don't quite see how it works.
He scored a lot of goals, blah blah blah. If you're doing the thing which again we've said before is quite easy to do, just get the list up of everyone in Europe who scored a load of goals in the last season. He's on it. He's 28 though. He earns a lot of money. It seems to push against a lot of the general values of around FSG, that sort of thing. I mean, I know that people, before you all jump on me, I know that they have signed older players before and paid a lot of money for them and all that. I know they broke hard of it at times, but I don't know. You can talk yourself into it, you can talk yourself out of it.
Do you know what I'd do if you could get someone like him, and I'm just lashing out there, I'm not saying that we can. I'd do that. Now that rather than do Goetze, I'd do that and I'd play Sturridge behind. So we'd have the idea that you got 2 from Sturridge, one from Sturridge and Firmino who plays, and one from a really good centre forward and a really who plays, depending on fitness, and Sturridge and Firmino can do a bit, and then I'd focus all my energies on wide areas and get quality out wide.
Do you think if we don't pay Sturridge as out and out striker, it potentially puts his nose a little bit out of
No, I think he wants.
I think he's alright with that.
I think he wants a strike partner. I think if you were to say to Daniel, we want you to come and be a footballer, because for instance, him and Firmino were playing pretty much like 2 out-and-out strikers in Bournemouth, as an example, where Sturridge gets the chance. No, I think he wants. I think he'd want that. I think he'd be back to the Daniel Sturridge. He wants that competition. He wants to prove he's better than his partner, Alan Suarez. But I think he'd want that sort of that I'd like to see that as being the way in which we go. The issue you've got therefore though is that it becomes hard to make a case to play Sturridge in the very big games in that instance, because he's not going to, you could get outrun at midfield, outworked at midfield. So I think if you were to go down that route, that's how I'd do it.
And there's already big games what he did miss out on, when Divock was
I think in general
selected
the way Klopp plays, I think it's actually quite you can understand how it's quite difficult for him to find a place for Sturridge in games, certainly games, not big games, but games where you think we're going to be a bit backs to the wall. If you think we're going to be on top, if Jurgen Klopp's looking to set a team up and he thinks Liverpool are going to be the better side and they're going to be on top, then he should start Daniel Sturridge. If he thinks there could be, let's say we go to City away next year under Guardiola and he thinks we won't get more than 40% possession, we're going to need an out ball, we're going to need someone to do loads of dog work, then I'd be saying you play someone else for at least an hour before you introduce Sturridge. And if Sturridge is, and I think that's just sort of the nature of football, in that if we're not going to be absolutely brilliant, then I think it does become tougher to find out exactly how you get him on the pitch, no matter where you're thinking about playing.
Yeah, I mean, just my concern. I know what you're basically saying, it almost in a two when you're saying behind, aren't you? You're not saying, but I mean, when you first said that, I was starting to think, hang on. Remember when at Chelsea when he started to move positions and all that sort of thing? That's what I started to get in my head.
I think it's through. I think it's being able to say, right, Daniel. For instance, let's say it's Origi, so we're not talking about players we buy. Origi's going to do the job of occupying the centre half, running the channels, blah blah blah. Behind you, there's going to be a 4-man midfield. The two lads get up and down. They've got tons of pace and tons of quality. Your job's to get on the ball and make it happen. And that's completely different to the idea of you playing left wing.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think if there's a player to have that attitude towards, and as I say, I think it's against the poorer sides, then I think you want to almost say, well, if we can play Daniel Sturridge and then have 3 other really attacking options on the pitch, and we can cope with that, then I think we're in a good place. And that could be, I mean, think about Stoke at home when he makes the change at half time and he brings Origi on, and suddenly he's got Sturridge, Origi, and Firmino all on the pitch together, and they're all cheating. None of them came back and defended. They all, and he wasn't screaming at them to do so. They all cheated, and it meant that Stoke were going, what do we do here? Because there's 3 of these and they're really good. And I just wondered if that might be the way to do it. But anyway, other things. Reports in Turkey, I'm about to sneeze, that we're in for Nuri Sahin, which I think is a bit of 2 + 2 equals something conceivably, but might not be. I mean, I don't know, I just don't quite see that one.
Work to Klopp, all that sort of stuff again, isn't it? Yeah, a bit of a strange one, isn't it? I mean, it didn't work out for him obviously when he was on loan. Seemed to be a little bit of a conflict between him and Rodgers, wasn't there, over where he's playing and what his position is and getting time in that position. It would seem a strange one for him to come back, and yeah, as we said earlier, time of year, people do a lot of 2 + 2. Where's he in his contract? Is he getting a game?
Well, Dortmund are moving in the market quite aggressively, so you do wonder whether or not the people looking at it going, it's quite difficult to see where Shaheen gets his game, so therefore he might move. Where's he going to move to?
Klopp.
Yeah. Next one, which I think there's something in. A Cologne director has emphasised there's been no bid yet for Hector, but he's also said, and this is in the Echo Live blog, it's quite interesting how he's phrased it, that if you double the numbers, we'll start picking up the phone. Well, that suggests that numbers have been mooted and that phones may or may not be ringing. I mean, I think you've always got to be careful with there's not been a bid. A bid is often the thing that happens last. You agree with the player, you get the sense of what the club wants, and then that's when you put the bid in. I'm intrigued by that because, as I say, as soon as Liverpool are dealing with a club like Cologne, and directors of Cologne are beginning to mention numbers, it feels as though there's something to do with a public negotiation going on in some way.
Yeah, and you'd think as well that he's not going to, this fella's not going to go out there and speak publicly if this is a player that is expecting to play for them, to be honest. I mean, why are you going out speaking in that manner?
Well, he ends up going, I expect him to start for us next season.
Yeah, right. I don't think so.
I'm not saying he'll come to us, but I don't see that.
It seems a bit of a public auction type thing to do. I mean, it's interesting. There was an interesting article, I think it's in the Newcastle Chronicle today. Obviously, that's available online. I'm not expecting it to go to Newcastle and buy a newspaper. With Don Hutchinson, and he's talking about, I quite like some of the stuff he's doing now, and he's talking about how it all works and how it's a bit of a game, all this, because it is. And he was saying about, Newcastle have gone down and every one of their players now will be going, I should be in the Prem. I should be in the Prem. Yeah. And he said, so how it works is, that player's agent will then put something out in the press somewhere, somehow, on some website somewhere, somehow, links start to happen to certain clubs. And basically they're all just sitting back and see what happens. So when you see some of this gossip, and when you see some of these quotes, it's almost saying, well, yeah, let's see how they react to that. So, you know, like, I wondered if that was one with Coutinho being linked to Barcelona. That could have absolutely nothing to do with Barcelona, and it could be his agent getting it out there somehow, however he wants to get it out there, and just seeing what Barcelona say.
Next.
Like, did they come out and go, no, absolutely not interested, or did they just say nothing, which in itself is interesting? You know what I mean? It is all game, because what Hutchinson said, which was interesting, he said, you know, it can be quite disheartening because you soon realise how good you actually are. Because he said, you know, all these lads at Newcastle now will be going, I can play in the Prem, and then their agents are coming back and going, no one's interested, mate. Soz.
I put the feelers out and no one bit.
It's going to be great under Rafa in the Championship.
Yeah, honestly, you want to bed in. You know, the quickest way for you to get back to the Premier League, son, play well, which tends to be the case for almost all aspects of football. Anyway, this has been a lunchtime roundup. What have we got on Talk Play for you today? The Wildcard Show, which is already out. It's a fantastic show, really. Thank you very much to Rory Smith for coming and doing it with us. Had a really good, fun chat. We'll also have the wrap-up later on today to pull all of these things together. I'd say the other thing as well that we've got coming out this week. Tomorrow we've got our John Barnes interview and our Cuddy Play show about John Barnes with Gareth, which Gareth tells me is fantastic. And we've got stuff right the way through the rest of the week. There's a Central League show to come. So we start our Euro stuff on Thursday. Loads and loads of stuff coming through on Talk Player. So if you are thinking about subscribing, now is the time to do so. Loads of stuff that can get your attention, and also check the website out today as well for some really, really good John Barnes writing. Have a lovely lunch, have a lovely afternoon. We'll be back in touch soon.